The last time I stood on my daughter's porch, she looked me dead in the eye and told me I wasn't welcome in the house I paid for. "Mom, I think it's best if you don't visit unannounced anymore," she said, blocking the doorway with her body. Behind her, I could see the gleaming hardwood floors I'd helped pay for, the custom kitchen cabinets my life savings had funded, the chandelier that cost more than my monthly retirement check. "Unannounced?" I repeated, my voice catching. "Sweetheart, I called you twice this morning." She sighed, that particular sigh children reserve for parents they find exhausting. "You know what I mean. Brad and I need our space. We have a routine now, and random visits just disrupt things. Before we continue, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. And let us know where in the world you're watching from in the comments. Now, back to my story. My name is Patricia Morrison, and I'm 63 years old. For 40 years, I worked as a registered nurse at County General Hospital, pulling double shifts, skipping vacations, wearing shoes until they fell apart, all while raising my daughter Madison alone after her father walked out when she was 3. Every penny I saved, every sacrifice I made was for her future. I wanted her to have everything I never did, college without debt, a wedding without worry, and yes, a beautiful home to start her life in. I never imagined that home would become a fortress designed to keep me out. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where this really began, so you understand how a mother's unconditional love can become the weapon her own child uses to destroy her. 3 years earlier, Madison was 30 years old when she met Bradley Whitmore at a corporate retreat in Napa Valley. She came home glowing, her phone constantly buzzing with his texts, her smile wider than I'd seen it in years. I was happy for her. After 2 failed relationships and years of watching her friends get engaged while she remained single, I knew she was ready for something real. "Mom, he's different," she told me over coffee at my small kitchen table, the same table where I'd helped her with homework, where we'd celebrated her college acceptance, where I'd held her hand through every heartbreak. "He's ambitious, successful, and he actually wants the same things I want: a real home, stability, a future." Bradley came from money, old money, the kind that builds country club memberships into family traditions and expects everyone to know which fork to use at dinner. He was handsome in that polished way, all straight teeth and expensive haircuts, working in private equity, whatever that meant. Madison worked in marketing for a pharmaceutical company, respectable, but not quite in Bradley's league financially. Their courtship was a whirlwind. 6 months later, he proposed with a ring that cost more than my car. The wedding was set for the following spring. That's when the conversations about money started. "Mom, Bradley's family is covering most of the wedding, but there are some things." Madison sat across from me in my living room, her engagement ring catching the light. "Things that are traditionally the bride's family's responsibility. I'd been a single mother my entire adult life. There was no bride's family, just me." "Of course, sweetheart," I said, already mentally calculating what I could spare from my savings. "Whatever you need." The dress came first, not just any dress, but a custom Vera Wang that required 3 fittings in New York City. Flights, hotels, alterations. Then the flowers. Madison had a very specific vision involving orchids that had to be imported. The cake, the photographer, the videographer, the string quartet for the ceremony. Bradley's mother says it would be embarrassing if we didn't match their contribution, Madison explained each time she came to me with another expense. I said yes to everything. I'd been saving for 30 years. I had a decent nest egg from those double shifts, from never taking vacations, from living in the same small apartment for decades. What else was I going to spend it on? The wedding cost me $47,000. It was beautiful. Madison looked like a princess. Bradley's family invited 250 guests to a venue overlooking the ocean. I invited 12, a few colleagues from the hospital, my sister Janet, and some old friends. We were the discount section in a luxury catalog. During the reception, Bradley's mother, Constance, a woman who wore her wealth like armor, air-kissed both my cheeks and said, You must be so proud. Your daughter is joining a wonderful family. Joining, not forming, not creating, joining theirs. I smiled and nodded, ignoring the subtle implication that Madison was moving up in the world, away from whatever I represented. 6 months into the marriage, Madison and Bradley were living in his downtown condo, sleek, modern, but according to Madison, not suitable for starting a family. They wanted a house, not just any house, but a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom home in Westbrook Hills, where the properties started at $800,000. We've been pre-approved for a mortgage, Madison explained, during one of our weekly phone calls, which had already decreased from daily calls. But Mom, the down payment is killing us. Bradley's family already helped with the wedding, and his mother made it very clear they're not a bank. I heard something in her voice, a familiar note from childhood when she wanted something badly. How much do you need? I asked, even though I already knew where this was going. The thing is, we need 20% down to avoid PMI. That's $160,000. Bradley's putting in $80,000 from his accounts, and I have about $30,000 saved, but we're $50,000 short. $50,000. More than I'd spent on the wedding, more than I had liquid without touching my retirement accounts. Sweetheart, that's a lot of money. I know, Mom. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. But this house, it's perfect. It's in the best school district. It has a yard for the kids we want to have, and it's an investment. Property values in Westbrook Hills only go up. Think of it as investing in your future grandchildren's lives. She knew exactly what buttons to push. The promise of grandchildren, of a stable family home, of being part of something bigger than my small apartment. Let me think about it, I said. I thought about it for 2 days. Then I called my financial advisor, a patient man named Tom, who'd helped me manage my retirement savings for years. Patricia, if you withdraw $50,000 from your IRA, you're looking at taxes and early withdrawal penalty, Hadsa, he said carefully. You're 60, not yet retirement age. This could cost you an additional $15,000 in fees and taxes, and you'd be losing years of compound growth on that money. What if I take a loan against it? You could do that, but you'd be paying yourself back with interest, and if you leave your job or can't make payments, it converts to a withdrawal with all those penalties anyway. I sat in silence, phone pressed to my ear, looking around my modest apartment. I'd lived here for 28 years. I'd never bought a house of my own because I was always saving for Madison's future. Tom, what would you do if it was your daughter? He sighed. I'd probably tell her to save up longer or look at less expensive properties. Patricia, you've worked too hard to put your retirement at risk. But Tom didn't understand. He had 3 kids, a wife, a support system. I had Madison. She was my only family that mattered, my entire legacy, my purpose for everything I'd done. I withdrew the money. The penalty was actually $17,000 after taxes. I handed Madison a check for $50,000 and watched her eyes fill with tears, the good kind. Mom, oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. She hugged me so tight I could smell her expensive perfume, feel her designer handbag pressing into my side. You have no idea what this means to us. We're going to make you so proud. And of course, you'll have your own space whenever you visit. The guest room is going to be beautiful. I'm thinking a queen bed, maybe a reading nook. My own space in their house, and it sounded wonderful. We'll pay you back, she promised, pulling away and looking earnest. Once Bradley's bonus comes through, we'll start making payments. Don't worry about it, I said, because that's what mothers do. Just be happy. They closed on the house in March. I helped them move in, carrying boxes, organizing the kitchen, hanging curtains. The house was stunning. Tall ceilings, natural light everywhere, a kitchen that looked like it belonged in a magazine. This is the guest room, Madison said, showing me a space on the 2nd floor. It was empty except for paint cans and a ladder. We're going to fix it up soon. Soon turned into months. My visits in the beginning were welcomed, or at least tolerated. I'd bring groceries, help with yard work, offer to cook dinner, but I started noticing things. The way Bradley would disappear into his office when I arrived. The way Madison would glance at her watch during our conversations. The way they'd mention plans with Brad's family, but never thought to include me. "We're doing Easter at the Whitmore's estate," Madison mentioned casually one April afternoon. "Oh," I said, feeling something tighten in my chest. "I usually make ham for Easter. I thought maybe—" "Mom, it's already planned. Constance is having it catered." "I could bring a dish." Madison looked uncomfortable. "It's really formal, Mom. Like, really formal." "I don't think— maybe next year we can do a casual thing at our place." Next year never came. I wasn't invited to Thanksgiving either, or Christmas. Madison assured me we'd celebrate separately. Just us. More intimate. But when I arrived on Christmas Day with gifts and homemade cookies, I found them preparing to leave. "We're expected at the Whitmores at 3, Bradley said, checking his Rolex. "Family tradition." "But I'm family," I said quietly. Madison kissed my cheek. "Of course you are, Mom. We'll open your gifts when we get back tonight." They came home at 11:30 p.m., too tired to open presents. I'd waited on their couch for 8 hours. The guest room remained unfinished. When I mentioned staying over after a late dinner, Madison looked panicked. "The room isn't ready, Mom. We don't even have a bed in there yet. I could sleep on the couch. That's not comfortable. You should just head home. It's not that far." 45 minutes in traffic. But I didn't argue. Over the next year, I saw my daughter maybe once a month, always at her convenience, always brief. Phone calls became texts. Texts became sporadic. I learned about their vacation to Italy from Facebook photos. I found out they'd joined the country club from a mutual acquaintance. The guest room was eventually finished, but I was never invited to use it. "We're having Bradley's parents stay over next weekend," Madison explained when I asked about it. "They're getting older, and the drive from their place is hard on them. Constance and Richard Whitmore were 58 and 62, younger and healthier than me. I started to feel it then, the slow, creeping realization that I had become an embarrassment. My nurse's scrubs compared to Constance's Chanel suits, my compact car in their circular driveway next to the Whitmore's luxury vehicles, my modest gifts compared to whatever Bradley's family gave. I was the past Madison wanted to move away from. The Whitmores were the future she wanted to move toward, but I told myself I was being paranoid. She was busy, newlywed, building a life. This was normal. This was what happened when children grew up. Then came my 62nd birthday. I didn't expect a party. I would have been happy with dinner, just the 3 of us. When Madison called that morning, I felt hopeful. "Happy birthday, Mom." "Thank you, sweetheart. Listen, I'm sorry, but we can't do dinner tonight. Bradley has a work thing and I'm expected to be there. But how about lunch tomorrow?" Tomorrow came. Lunch was at a cafe near her office, squeezed into her lunch hour. She gave me a gift card to a restaurant and a card. Not handwritten, one of those generic "to mother on her birthday" cards from the drugstore. "I'm sorry it's not more," she said, checking her phone. "Things have been crazy." I saw her Instagram story that night. She was at the work thing, a casual cocktail party at someone's house. She hadn't been expected. She'd chosen to go. That's when something inside me began to harden. The real fracture came during what I now think of as the kitchen incident. It was a Saturday in October, and I'd called Madison that morning asking if I could visit. She'd been vague. "We might have plans later, Santi," but didn't say no. I interpreted this as permission. I stopped at the farmer's market, bought fresh vegetables, and drove to Westbrook Hills planning to make my signature minestrone soup, something Madison had loved since childhood. I let myself in with the spare key they'd given me for emergencies. The house was quiet, too quiet. I walked through to the kitchen and started unpacking groceries when I heard footsteps upstairs, then voices. Then Bradley appeared at the top of the stairs, wearing a robe, looking furious. "Patricia, what are you doing here?" I'm making soup. I called Madison this morning. She's sleeping. We were sleeping. It's Saturday morning." It was 11 a.m. Madison appeared behind him. wrapped in a silk robe I didn't recognize, her face flushed with anger, not embarrassment. "Mom, you can't just let yourself in," I called. "You didn't say not to come." "I didn't say yes either." We stood in a three-way standoff, me in their kitchen surrounded by vegetables, them looking down from their bedroom, the air thick with resentment. "I just wanted to do something nice," I said softly. Bradley put his hand on Madison's shoulder. "Babe, I'll handle this." He descended the stairs, his expression shifting into something practiced and diplomatic. "Patricia, I think we need to establish some boundaries. This is our home, and while we appreciate your enthusiasm, we need privacy. You can't just show up. I'm her mother, and I'm her husband. This is our marriage, our space." Madison hadn't moved from the top of the stairs. She wasn't defending me. She wasn't even looking at me. "I think you should go, Mom," she said quietly. I left the vegetables on the counter and walked out. I cried the entire drive home, 45 minutes of tears that left me exhausted and hollow. When I got to my apartment, I realized I'd left my purse in their kitchen. I called Madison. It went to voicemail. I texted, "I left my purse. Can I pick it up?" Hours passed. Finally, "I'll drop it off tomorrow." She left it on my doorstep and didn't knock. A month later, Madison called. Not texted, called. My heart leaped with hope. Maybe she'd realized she'd been too harsh. Maybe she wanted to repair things. "Mom, we need to talk about the key situation." Not an apology, a key situation. "Okay," I said carefully. "Bradley and I have discussed it, and we think it's best if you give back the spare key. It's causing stress in our marriage. Knowing that you could just come in any time. I only came that one time unannounced. It's about boundaries, Mom. Healthy boundaries. Brad's therapist says..." "Brad's therapist? You're discussing me with Bradley's therapist?" "It's couples therapy. And yes, this came up. The therapist agreed that we need to protect our space." My hands were shaking. "Madison, I gave you $50,000 for that house." Silence, long and cold. Are you holding that over me?" "No, because if you are, that's emotional manipulation, Mom. I didn't ask you to give us that money. You offered." "You did ask. You specifically asked. And you could have said no. That was your choice. You don't get to use that to guilt me into letting you violate our boundaries." Violate. As if my presence was an assault. "I want you to mail the key back," she continued. "And going forward, please call before visiting. We'll let you know if it works with our schedule." I mailed the key the next day. I didn't hear from her for 2 months. That December was the loneliest of my life. Madison sent a text on December 20th. "We're doing Christmas with the Whitmores again. We'll send your gifts." The gifts arrived via Amazon. A generic scented candle set and a fleece blanket. Things you'd give to a distant acquaintance. I spent Christmas Day alone in my apartment, eating Chinese takeout and watching old movies, thinking about every sacrifice I'd made. The years of double shifts, the vacations I never took, the retirement I'd gutted, the wedding, the house. All of it so my daughter could build a life that had no room for me. I called Janet, my sister, on Christmas night. "She's ungrateful," Janet said bluntly. Janet had never liked Madison much, thought I spoiled her. "You gave her everything, and she's treating you like trash. She's just busy establishing her marriage. Patricia, stop making excuses for her. She's cruel. What she's doing is cruel." I couldn't argue. Cruelty was the right word for it. In February, I saw on Facebook that Madison was pregnant. I found out with the rest of her 600 Facebook friends through a carefully staged photo of her and Bradley holding a sonogram. Caption, "Our greatest adventure begins. Baby Whitmore coming August 2024. She hadn't called me, hadn't told me privately. I'd learned I was going to be a grandmother through social media. I called immediately. She didn't answer. I texted, "Congratulations, sweetheart. This is wonderful news. Can we talk?" 3 hours later. "Thanks, Mom. We'll call you soon." She called 4 days later, during what was clearly her lunch break. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you first," she said, though she didn't sound sorry. We wanted to wait until the second trimester to tell people, and then Brad's family was in town, and it was just easier to announce to everyone at once. I'm not everyone, Madison. I'm your mother. I know, and I said I'm sorry. Can we not make this about you? I'm pregnant, and I'd like this to be a happy thing. It is happy. I'm thrilled. I want to help. I want to be involved. We have everything under control. Brad's mom already started planning the nursery and the baby shower. I'd like to host the baby shower. Mom, no offense, but Constance has connections to an event planner, and she's already booked the country club. It's going to be really nice. I could help pay for it. We don't need your money. The words hit like a slap. We don't need your money, meaning we don't need you. Can I at least visit? See the nursery progress? A long pause. Things are really hectic right now with the pregnancy and Brad's work schedule. Let me check our calendar and get back to you. She never got back to me. I received an invitation to the baby shower exactly 1 week before the event. Clearly an afterthought. The shower was at the country club, 2 p.m. on a Saturday. I bought gifts, expensive ones, a designer stroller, a car seat, baby clothes from boutiques Madison had mentioned liking. I spent $800 I didn't really have, trying to prove I belonged in her new world. I arrived at the country club in my best dress, which was still modest compared to what everyone else wore. The room was decorated in blue and white, elegant and perfect. 50 women were there, all from the Whitmore's circle. I recognized no one. Madison was glowing, the center of attention, laughing with Bradley's mother and their country club friends. I approached with my gifts. "Mom, you made it!" She hugged me briefly, then immediately turned to the woman beside her. "This is my mother, Patricia. Mom, this is Sylvia, Brad's aunt." "Lovely to meet you," Sylvia said with the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Madison, dear, we should get the games started." I was shuffled to a table at the back with 2 other women I didn't know. They made polite conversation for 5 minutes, then talked to each other for the rest of the event. I watched my daughter open gifts, designer everything, personalized items from Tiffany, a contribution from the Whitmores toward a college fund, $25,000 announced publicly. When Madison opened my gifts, she smiled and said, "Thanks, Mom," then moved on quickly to the next present. At the end of the shower, Constance stood and gave a speech about family, about legacy, about the Whitmore name continuing through this child. She thanked everyone for coming to celebrate our grandbaby. Our, possessive, exclusive. Madison beamed at her mother-in-law with more affection than I'd seen her show anyone in years. I left before dessert was served. No one noticed. Madison went into labor on August 15th. I learned about it via text from her at 10 p.m. In labor. We'll update when we can. I drove to the hospital immediately, my heart racing with hope and fear. Maybe this would change things. Maybe holding her hand through labor, meeting my grandchild, would remind her that I was important, that I mattered. The maternity ward receptionist checked her computer when I asked for Madison Whitmore's room. "I'm sorry. Mrs. Whitmore has requested no visitors except those on her approved list. I'm her mother." "Let me check." She scanned her screen. "I don't see a Patricia Morrison on the list." "There must be a mistake. Can you call the room?" She called, had a brief conversation, hung up, and looked at me with pity. "I'm sorry, but Mrs. Whitmore confirms that you're not approved to visit at this time. She says she'll contact you when she's ready." I stood in that hospital hallway, a hospital I'd worked in for 40 years, and felt something inside me die. I went home and waited. The text came 18 hours later. "Baby boy born healthy. 7 lbs, 4 Oz. Everyone doing well." A photo followed. Madison, exhausted and beautiful, holding a tiny bundle. Bradley beside her, beaming, his parents on the other side of the bed, already meeting their grandson. I wasn't there. I texted back, "He's beautiful. When can I visit?" "Hospital is restricting visitors. We'll let you know when we're home and settled." I saw on Facebook 2 days later that the Whitmores had visited. Friends from the country club had visited. Bradley's siblings and their children had visited. Just not me. The naming. They named him Bradley Charles Whitmore III. No part of my family in his name. No Morrison. No Patrick, after Madison's father, despite all his faults. Nothing. We wanted to honor Brad's father and grandfather, Madison explained, when I finally got a 5-minute phone call. It's tradition. What about my father? Your grandfather? Mom, Brad's family has a legacy. We wanted to be part of that. A legacy. As if my 40 years of nursing, of raising her alone, of sacrificing everything meant nothing. When can I meet him? Soon. I'm still recovering and the house is chaos. Brad's mom has been here every day helping. I could help too. Constance has it under control. She's experienced with babies. Madison, I raised you. I know, Mom, but things are different now. Constance knows about sleep schedules and modern parenting techniques. No offense, but your methods are kind of outdated. Outdated. My methods, the ones that raised a successful, healthy adult, were outdated. Just let me visit for an hour, please. I'll check with Brad and get back to you. The day everything changed. 3 weeks after my grandson was born, I was finally granted permission to visit. 1 hour, Saturday at 2 p.m., and please call when you get to the driveway so we can prepare. Prepare for what? My arrival? I showed up with more gifts. A handmade quilt I'd worked on for months, baby books, a savings bond for $500, money I could barely spare but wanted my grandson to have. Madison answered the door looking perfect, not like a woman who'd given birth 3 weeks ago. Hair done, makeup on, wearing expensive loungewear. Hey, Mom, come in quietly. He's sleeping. The house was immaculate. Not a dish out of place. No signs of the chaos new parents usually experienced. Constance's help, clearly. He's in the nursery. You can peek, but don't wake him. I followed her upstairs to a room decorated in shades of blue and gray. Every detail, designer perfect. In the crib lay my grandson, tiny and perfect, sleeping peacefully. My heart cracked open. I wanted to hold him, to smell his baby scent, to count his fingers and toes. But Madison stood in the doorway checking her phone. He's beautiful, I whispered. Thanks. Brad and I are pretty proud. She glanced at her watch. We have about 45 minutes before his next feeding schedule. Schedule. The baby was 3 weeks old and already on a rigid schedule. We went downstairs. I gave her the gifts. She thanked me politely, like I was a guest, not her mother, not the grandmother of her child. How are you feeling? I asked. Good. Tired. But Constance has been amazing. She stayed here the first week. Handled all the night wakings so I could recover. And she's setting up a night nurse for next month. I could have stayed with you. Madison's expression flickered. Something between annoyance and discomfort. Mom, you don't know about current sleep training methods or feeding protocols. Constance is certified in infant care. I raised you. 30 years ago. Things have changed. We sat in awkward silence. I tried to make conversation about the baby, about her recovery, about anything. Every answer was brief, every response designed to create distance. After exactly 1 hour, she stood up. Mom, I hate to rush you, but I have a lactation consultant coming at 3, and I need to prepare. I drove home in tears, realizing I'd spent an hour in my daughter's house and never got to hold my grandson. 2 months later, I received a text that changed everything. Mom, Brad and I need to talk to you. Can you come over tomorrow at 10 a.m.? My heart raced. Maybe they wanted to apologize. Maybe they were going to invite me to be more involved. I arrived on time. They sat together on their leather couch, a united front, while I sat across from them like someone being called into the principal's office. Bradley spoke first, his voice calm and clinical. Patricia, we've been doing a lot of work with our therapist about family dynamics and boundary setting. We've realized that some patterns have been unhealthy, and we need to establish clearer expectations going forward. Unhealthy patterns. I was an unhealthy pattern. Madison picked up where he left off, her voice steady, rehearsed. Mom, we love you, but we need you to respect our space and our decisions as parents. We've noticed some behaviors that concern us. What behaviors? showing up unannounced, questioning our parenting choices, making comments about how things were done in your day. It's undermining, and it's creating stress in our home. I've barely been here. I've barely seen you or the baby. That's another thing, Bradley interjected. We need you to understand that we decide when and how often visitors come, even family. Charlie needs consistency and routine, and too many people disrupts that. I'm not people. I'm his grandmother. You're one of his grandmothers, Madison said pointedly, and you don't get special privileges just because you gave us money for the down payment. There it was, out in the open. I never said I wanted special privileges, but you act like you do, like you're entitled to access whenever you want. That's not how this works. I felt something cold settling in my chest. So what are you saying? We're saying we need space. We'll invite you to visit when it works for us. We'll send photos and updates when we can. But you need to stop treating this house like you have a right to be here whenever you want. This house that I helped buy. Madison's eyes hardened. We never asked you to do that. You offered. You chose to give us that money. We didn't force you. You manipulated me. That's not fair, Mom. That's exactly the kind of emotional manipulation we're trying to avoid. If you can't respect our boundaries, maybe we need to take a break from visits altogether. I looked at my daughter. This woman I'd raised, sacrificed for, loved beyond measure, and realized she'd become someone I didn't recognize. Someone who saw love as a transaction, family as a burden, and my presence as a problem to be managed. Fine, I said, standing up. I'll respect your boundaries. Thank you, Bradley said, standing as well. We appreciate your understanding. Madison walked me to the door. At the threshold, she touched my arm. Mom, I know this is hard, but we're doing what's best for our family. Our family, not including me. The final insult, that was 6 months ago. In those 6 months, I saw my daughter 3 times, always scheduled, always brief, always feeling like a chore she was checking off a list. I saw my grandson 4 times, never alone, never allowed to hold him for more than a few minutes before Madison would swoop in with some excuse about his schedule. Meanwhile, Facebook showed me a different story. Pictures of Bradley's parents with Charlie every week, posts about Grandparents' Day at Nana Constance's house, photos of the Whitmore family Christmas with 4 generations gathered around a tree worth more than my annual income. I was erased, edited out, made irrelevant. Then came last Tuesday. I'd called Madison to ask if I could visit, maybe take Charlie to the park, spend some real time with him. Mom, I don't think that's a good idea. He's at a really attached phase right now and doesn't do well with people he doesn't see regularly. Then let me see him regularly. We've talked about this. Our schedule is full. Full with Bradley's family. That's not fair. It's true though, isn't it? The Whitmores get unlimited access and I get nothing. This conversation is exactly why we set boundaries. You're being unreasonable. I want to see my grandson. And I want a mother who respects my family's needs. I hung up. I shouldn't have, but I did. The next day, I drove to their house. I know I wasn't supposed to. I know it violated their precious boundaries. But I needed to see them, to make them understand. I rang the doorbell. Madison answered, and her face went from surprise to anger in seconds. Mom, what are you doing here? I need to talk to you. You can't just show up. We talked about this. Madison, please, I'm your mother. I helped buy this house. I gave you everything. Stop. Her voice was sharp, cutting. Stop throwing that in my face. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of you using money to guilt me, to manipulate me, to act like you own us. I don't. You do. Every time we have a boundary, you bring up the down payment. Every time I try to live my life, you make it about what you sacrificed. I'm done, Mom. I'm done feeling guilty for your choices. My choices were for you. I didn't ask you to sacrifice everything. I didn't ask you to make me your entire life. That's not my responsibility. That's not my burden, and I won't carry it anymore. We stood there, mother and daughter, a chasm between us that felt impossible to cross. So what are you saying? I asked quietly. Madison's eyes filled with tears, but her voice stayed steady. I'm saying I need you to stop coming here. I need you to stop calling all the time, texting all the time, making me feel like I'm the bad guy for having a life. I need space, Mom. Real space. For how long? I don't know. Until I can breathe without feeling your expectations crushing me. That's when she said it. The words that would change everything. Mom, I think it's best if you don't visit anymore, at all. When I'm ready to reconnect, I'll reach out to you. But until then, I need you to respect my decision and give me the space I'm asking for. You're cutting me off? I'm protecting my family. I'm your family. You're my past, Mom. Her voice broke on those words. Bradley and Charlie are my future, and I need to choose my future. She closed the door. I stood on that porch, the porch of the house I'd helped buy, and felt everything inside me shatter. I spent 3 days in bed after that, calling in sick to work, crying until I had no tears left. Janet came over with soup and tissues in brutal honesty. What are you going to do? She asked. What can I do? She's my daughter. I can't force her to love me. No, but you can stop letting her use you. She's not using me. Patricia, open your eyes. She took your money, cut you out of her life, and made you feel grateful for scraps of her time. That's using you. I wanted to argue, but the truth was too heavy to deny. Did you ever get a formal agreement about that down payment? Janet asked. What do you mean? I mean, did you give it as a gift or a loan? Is there paperwork? I thought back. The check, the conversation, Madison's promise to pay me back once Bradley's bonus came through. She said they'd pay me back, I said slowly. Did you get that in writing? No, she's my daughter. I trusted her. Janet pulled out her phone. My friend's daughter is a lawyer, real estate law. Let me text her. Janet, I'm not suing my daughter. I'm not saying sue her. I'm saying find out your options. Knowledge is power, Patty. Right now you have neither. 2 days later, I sat in the office of Rebecca Chen, attorney at law. She was younger than Madison, sharp-eyed and direct. Tell me everything, she said. I told her about the down payment, the verbal promise to repay, the wedding expenses, the slow cutting off, the boundaries, the door closing in my face. Rebecca took notes, asked questions, then sat back in her chair. Here's the situation. Unless you have written documentation that the $50,000 was a loan with terms for repayment, it's legally considered a gift. You can't compel repayment. My heart sank. However, she continued, there are some interesting angles here. Did you know that in situations involving significant financial contributions to property purchases, especially when there was an expectation of benefit, like a room in the house or ongoing relationship, some courts have recognized what's called constructive trust or unjust enrichment? I don't understand. It means that if you can prove there was an understanding, even verbal, that your contribution came with certain expectations, and that your daughter has now violated that understanding while benefiting from your money, you might have a case. A case for what? To establish a lien on the property, to compel sale and recover your portion, or to negotiate a settlement. It's complicated and not guaranteed, but it's possible. I sat with this information, feeling something I hadn't felt in months, a flicker of power. What would it cost? Consultation is free. If you wanted to pursue it, I could send a formal letter for $500. If she doesn't respond appropriately and you want to file suit, we're looking at a retainer of $5,000 and hourly fees from there. $5,000 I didn't have, but the idea was planted now, growing roots. Let me think about it, I said. One more thing, Rebecca said as I stood to leave. Document everything. Every text, every call, every promise she made. Facebook posts showing them living in the house, enjoying the benefits of your money while excluding you. It all matters. I spent a week thinking, praying, crying, talking to Janet, to old friends, to my pastor. Everyone had opinions. She's your daughter. You can't sue your daughter. She took advantage of you. Make her pay. Family is forever. Forgive her. Respect yourself. This is abuse. But in the end, it wasn't about revenge. It was about dignity, about standing up and saying, you don't get to use me and discard me. You don't get to take everything and give nothing. You don't get to erase me. I called Rebecca. Send the letter, I said. The letter arrived at Madison's house via certified mail, requiring signature. I knew because the tracking showed when she signed for it. For 3 days, nothing. Then my phone rang. Madison. I let it go to voicemail. Mom, what the hell is this? Are you threatening to sue me? Over money you gave us? This is insane. Call me back right now. I didn't call back. She texted. This is unbelievable. After everything we've done to try to set healthy boundaries, you're retaliating with legal threats. This is exactly why we needed space from you. I didn't respond. Bradley called from his number. I didn't answer. Then Constance Whitmore called. That surprised me. I answered. Patricia, this is Constance Whitmore. I think we need to discuss this situation like adults. I'm listening. Madison is beside herself. She's a new mother dealing with postpartum challenges, and this legal action is unconscionable. Surely you can see that. What I see is that I gave my daughter $50,000 with the understanding that I'd be part of her life and my grandson's life. Instead, I've been systematically excluded while your family enjoys unlimited access to the house I helped purchase. That money was a gift. That money came with expectations that were violated. You can't buy your way into your daughter's life, Patricia. The words hung in the air like poison. I didn't buy anything, I said quietly. I gave everything freely because I loved her, and she threw that love away like garbage. The money is the only thing I can fight for. Her love, apparently, was never mine to keep. I hung up. 3 days later, Rebecca called me. They want to settle, she said. What does that mean? They're offering to repay the $50,000 in full, no interest, paid over 24 months. In exchange, you agree to drop any claims to the property and sign a non-disclosure agreement about the settlement. $2,500 a month for 2 years. It wouldn't replace what I'd lost from my retirement account, but it was something. What about seeing my grandson? Rebecca's voice was gentle. Patricia, we can't legally force visitation with a grandchild. That's a separate family law issue and much harder to win unless you can prove the parents are unfit, which you can't. So I get my money back but lose my family. You already lost your family. At least this way you get something. She was right, and we both knew it. What if I don't accept? We file suit, which takes months, costs thousands, and might not succeed. Even if we win, it damages the relationship beyond repair, though I'd argue it's already there. I thought about Madison's face when she closed the door, the coldness in her eyes, the relief in her voice when she told me not to visit. I want one modification, I said. What's that? I want the option to send my grandson birthday gifts and cards, not to me directly, but to him. They don't have to let me see him, but they can't prevent me from marking his existence in some small way. Rebecca called back an hour later. They'll agree to that, with the caveat that they reserve the right to screen the gifts for appropriateness. Control, even in this. Fine, I said. I'll take it. We met at Rebecca's office to sign the papers, Madison and Bradley on one side with their lawyer, me and Rebecca on the other. We didn't speak except for formalities. Madison looked tired. Part of me wanted to ask if she was sleeping enough, if Charlie was healthy, if she needed anything. But I didn't. I wasn't her mother anymore. I was a creditor collecting a debt. We signed. Rebecca notarized. The lawyers shook hands. As Madison and Bradley stood to leave, Madison paused at the door. I'm sorry it came to this, she said, not looking at me. So am I replied. She left without another word. 6 months later. The payments come every month like clockwork, automated from their bank account to mine. $2,500 that goes straight into a new retirement account I opened, trying to rebuild what I lost. I sent Charlie a birthday gift on his first birthday, a wooden toy and a card. I don't know if he received it. I don't know if Madison threw it away or kept it. She's blocked me on all social media, so I don't see the pictures anymore, don't see him growing. I still work at the hospital. My coworkers know something happened but don't ask. I've started going to a support group for estranged parents. There are more of us than you'd think, sitting in a church basement on Thursday nights, sharing stories of children who walked away, trying to figure out what we did wrong. Some nights, I wonder if I was the toxic one, if my love was too much, too heavy, too demanding, if Madison's boundaries were actually healthy and I was the problem all along. Other nights I know the truth. I wasn't perfect, but I didn't deserve to be erased. I think about the house sometimes, about my $50,000 embedded in its foundation, in its walls, in its beautiful kitchen where I'm not welcome to cook. I think about my grandson growing up in rooms I helped pay for, never knowing I exist, never knowing how much I sacrificed for his mother. But mostly I think about the day I decided to stand up for myself, the day I stopped begging for scraps of affection and demanded at least the dignity of financial recompense. Getting the money back didn't heal my heart, didn't give me my daughter back, didn't let me hold my grandson or watch him grow, but it did something else. It proved I still mattered, that my sacrifice wasn't meaningless, that I wouldn't be used and discarded without consequence. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. This wasn't revenge. It was survival. It was looking at the wreckage of the relationship I'd built my entire life around and salvaging the only thing I could, my self-respect. Madison made her choice when she closed that door. She chose her new family, her new life, her new mother-in-law who knew the right parenting methods and came with country club connections instead of working-class humility. And I made my choice when I signed those papers. I chose myself. It's been 8 months since the settlement. Last week, my phone rang at 11 p.m., Madison's number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Mom?" Her voice was small, broken. "Madison, I need help." My heart lurched. "What's wrong? Is Charlie okay?" "Charlie's fine. Mom, Brad left. He's filing for divorce. He's been having an affair with someone from work and he's leaving me. And Constance, she took his side. She said I should have been a better wife, should have made more effort." The irony was suffocating. The perfect family she'd chosen over me had imploded. "I'm sorry, Asaya," I said, and I meant it. "I know I don't deserve to ask, but can I come over? I don't have anywhere to go. Constance told me to figure it out myself, and my friends are all country club people who are Brad's connections, and I need my mom." 10 months ago, I would have said yes immediately, would have opened my door and my arms and let her back in without question. But I've learned something in these months of silence and therapy, and Thursday night support groups. Sometimes love means boundaries, too. "Madison, I love you," I said carefully. "I always will. But you broke my heart. You used me, discarded me, and only now that your perfect life fell apart do you remember I exist. I know I was horrible. I'm so sorry, Mom. Please. I'll do anything. You need therapy, real therapy, not couples counseling to manage your mother. Individual therapy to figure out why you treated me that way." "Okay, yes, I'll do that. And you need to understand that if I let you back in, it's not going to be like before. I'm not your emergency fund or your backup plan or your punching bag. I'm your mother, and you will treat me with respect." "I will. I promise." I paused, weighing years of love against months of pain. "You can come tomorrow. We'll talk. But Madison, if you hurt me again, I'm done. Completely done. Do you understand?" "Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mom." She hung up, and I sat in my quiet apartment, wondering if I'd just made a terrible mistake or taken the first step toward healing. Only time would tell, but either way. I knew one thing for certain. I would never again lose myself in loving someone else, even my own daughter, especially my own daughter. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this community.